Good morning and welcome to Senator Lynne Walz, legislative candidate from District 15. Thank you, Senator, for joining us for our virtual legislative candidate meeting. My name is Gina Ragland, and with us today are lead AARP advocacy volunteers Dave Holmquist, who's also our state president, and Danny DeLong. Emily Wick is also joining us from the AARP Nebraska state office. Senator Walz, we do appreciate your taking the time to meet with us and discuss issues of importance to the 50-plus voter and their families across Nebraska. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be shared with AARP members across your district prior to the election. With that, Senator, I want to give you a chance to start us off by giving us a little background about yourself and your campaign, again, aiming for 5 minutes or less. And once we've completed your opening, we'll move into the questions. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here and to see everybody. And thank you for your work. Well, I'll just start off and let you know that I grew up on a farm raising hogs, which is near our community. I was born and raised and lived in District 15, which is the district I represent, Dodge County, for most of my life. It has been an honor and a pleasure to represent this district. I love this district, and I know this district very well. After high school, I think it's important that you know that I went straight to work for a company called NCORE, which is an agency that serves people with developmental disabilities. So as my high school friends were packing up their bags to move into dorm rooms, I was packing my bag and moving into a home that I shared with 3 ladies who have developmental disabilities. I think that experience taught me so much about respecting all people, regardless of their age, their abilities, their disabilities. I learned a lot about advocating for people and making sure that people had every opportunity that they needed to succeed. It also allowed me, I think, the opportunity to learn how to listen and be empathetic for the people that I served as well as their families. Throughout my life, I've had a few other jobs. I was a executive director for Bethlegy, which is the same kind of agency that serves people with developmental disabilities. I decided to go back to school and I got my teaching degree. After my I taught 4th and 5th grade here in Fremont. After our 3rd child, I decided that I wanted a schedule that's a little bit more flexible. So I got my real estate license, and that is what I do today. I'm a realtor and a partner for Don Peterson and Associates. I'm married. We have 3 children and 5 grandchildren, 4 of who are at our house right now. And we just sent our last daughter off to college, so it has been kind of a bittersweet month. So anyway, I've done a lot. You know, I've had a lot of really great experiences. Never, ever was politics on my bucket list of things to do. This just kind of fell into my lap. But I think that there was always a path for me to get where I am today because of all the experiences that I've had through my work. And going into the legislature, I really had to learn, because I didn't have that background, I really had to learn to listen and just listen to both sides of an issue and then make a decision. And I think that I have served my constituents well because I didn't come into the legislature with any preconceived ideas or a political agenda. So I feel that that lack of experience, political experience, has really served my constituents well. One of my biggest accomplishments, I think, serving in the legislature over the last 4 years was raising awareness for mental health services in our school. And I introduced a piece of legislation. It was LB 998. It was a bill that, through public and private funding, would facilitate social workers in our schools to help families and kids who are dealing with mental health issues. We worked really, really hard on this piece of legislation. We had a lot of support from everybody across the state. Unfortunately, the piece of legislation passed, but it was vetoed. But I still consider it a win because so many of the schools implemented that program into their schools and provided social workers. So I consider it a win. Another bill that I was really proud of is the Olmstead Plan. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it requires the state to create a comprehensive plan that would assure people with disabilities have every opportunity to live and work and enjoy life in their communities. It brought people together, stakeholders from all across Nebraska, in many different areas, including housing and transportation and employment. And this is it's really an ongoing piece of legislation. It's very fluid and changing, and it has to be because our world is always changing. But it gives people with disabilities the very best opportunity to stay in their communities, living, working, and just being able to connect with people in their community.
Great, thank you so much, Senator. We'll now transition into the question section. And again, we've provided you with a set of 3 questions pertaining to the 50+ in Nebraska. Again, we're allotting 5 minutes for each of these. And our first question this morning will come from our state president, Dave Holmquist, and it addresses helping people stay in their homes and communities. Kind of a nice segue from what you've just discussed, what you had done. So go ahead, Dave.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator, for being with us this morning. It's a pleasure to see you again. A livable community is one that is safe and secure. It has housing that is affordable, in other words, no more than 30% of income spent on housing. It has transportation options that allow individuals to travel by multiple means, and it has supportive community features and services for people of all ages, which allow people to remain in their communities as they age. What steps will you take to ensure that all Nebraskans have access to livable communities?
Thank you. You know, I'm going to go back to the Olmstead plan because I think we need to have something that's similar to that in our state. I believe that we have to have a plan for our senior citizens. Creating and developing a comprehensive plan that allows our senior citizens, just like the people with disabilities, to stay in their homes and to stay in their communities, to have jobs, to have lots of opportunities for recreational activities. And it allows them to stay near their families where they know that they're safe and secure. This plan would include the ability to acquire affordable housing through grants, create transportation systems maybe that are not, maybe some that are traditional and maybe some not so traditional, like our Uber businesses. It would include increased telehealth, mental health, and physical health needs, opportunities for regular exercise, good nutritional opportunities, and equally important, I think that the plan should include, if desired, opportunity for employment or volunteer opportunities in their community. I just think it's so important that people are able to stay connected to their friends and to the people who live in their community. You know, I think one of the most debilitating problems for our senior citizens is the fact that they lose a sense of value. And I saw that happen with my mom as she aged. Sorry. One of, you know, it is your livelihood. When you lose your livelihood, your ability to work or your ability to take care of your family, it becomes a very lonely world. And those things are just essential to people. So I think that what we really need to concentrate on is finding or creating avenues for our seniors to stay involved, whether that be providing intergenerational programs, collaborating with businesses, collaborating with our YMCAs or our nonprofits to make sure that we're engaging our senior citizens in those programs. And I think, again, you know, something similar to the Olmstead plan, all of this can be done in a big picture by bringing stakeholders together, people from the medical fields, people from employment services, DHHS, transportation, housing, creating a comprehensive plan that keeps our senior citizens in their community and near their families. And I really, as I thought about this, I really am excited to maybe get something started like that and create legislation that will enable us to move forward in creating a plan for people.
Thank you. very much.
Senator. Our second question, and again, a lot of these you'll see there's a little bit of overlap, but the second question is more specifically related to caregiving. So again, health, caregiving, and home and community-based care. This question will come from Danny DeLong. And Danny, I think you're on mute, so go ahead.
I thank you, Gina. I would have started talking and no one could have heard me. Maybe that would be okay too, but all right, Senator, welcome this morning. We're glad to have you here, and I really appreciated your comments about livable communities and what's required to make our communities livable. This question has to do with probably one of those supportive services and systems that work, and it starts out this way. Caregivers help older persons live independently at home by providing assistance with activities like bathing, dressing, and performing complex medical nursing tasks, such as administering medication and wound care. Caregivers often provide these services with little or no training. I have two questions. I'll start with the first, and then I'll come back around when you're finished with that answer for the second. Will you support helping caregivers with paid leave, respite services, telehealth, and access to education and training?
I would absolutely. I'm a huge proponent of that, obviously, you know, with the work that I've done at NCORE and just my experience and the opportunity I had to assure that people with disabilities were able to enjoy their community and be with people that they trust and that they felt safe with. I would support paid leave, allowing family members to be paid while they're caring for, you know, their family members. And I would absolutely support or expand the ability to pay those caregivers for the caregivers to be able to provide care for their loved ones. My grandfather was placed in a nursing home in the late 1970s. And I'll never forget the first time we went to visit him was the last time we went to visit him, because my dad said that day, "You are coming home to live with us." And I was probably about 11, but I remember it very well. He and my grandma moved into our home for 4 years, and we had a pretty busy family. But he was able to spend time with us, to be involved, to be respected. He felt valued. And at that time, my mom didn't work, so things were a little bit easier. But as we know today, the majority of people have to have a job. And it makes it very difficult for them to be able to take off and care for their loved ones.
Yeah.
But in the long run, it's a kind thing to do. It's a compassionate thing to do, and it will save our state money. And most important, you know, people are able to be with the people that they love and feel safe.
Yeah. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Here's the second part of the question, Senator. How will you protect, expand paid services and supports and financial security that allows more seniors to live independently in their homes and communities? Kind of a repeat of some things, but a good time to.
Okay.
We'd like to hear more.
Again, I'm going to go back to that plan, because I think that the more stakeholders and the more people that we can bring together, the more ability and opportunity we have to share resources. And we can also look at not only public funds, but also partnering with private organizations. I think that's real important. And our ability to share resources. I mean, I just don't feel like, obviously, I don't feel like we can just rely on public funds, because it's not enough. It's proved that it's not enough to give us the quality care that we need to have for our loved ones. So I think we need to be a little bit more creative, look outside the box, bring in key stakeholders, and brainstorm. How can we provide the best care to people?
Great question to kick off a great plan. So thank you, Senator.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Senator Walz. And our last question, we'll now switch into nursing facility quality. We've deviled a little bit in this and some of the other questions and answers, but an estimated 6,600 Nebraskans reside in one of Nebraska's 211 nursing homes. By 2040, research projects that number will more than double to almost 14,000. We know, according to lots of different entities that are out there, that there are facilities that are closing due to staffing and funding issues that, again, makes it the continued operations next to impossible. How will you ensure that Nebraska residents receive quality nursing home care, including ensuring an adequate nursing workforce, education and training, as well as proper reimbursement?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that first of all, we have to prioritize our provider rates in our budget. And I will always, always, always see that as an investment for Nebraska. I am so proud of the work that Senator Williams did last year and proud to support him in that piece of work. We need to make sure that our reimbursements are adequate for consistent care and are meeting the needs of the facilities as well as the residents who reside there and their families. Unfortunately, we have seen a lot of nursing homes close, and our seniors are being forced to move to other facilities that are miles and miles and miles away from their family and their safety net. You know, there's nobody there to oversee and make sure that they're receiving that quality care that they deserve. And that cannot continue to happen. We have to make sure that, again, our facilities are being reimbursed at a rate where they're able to provide quality care. Again, it's going back to me, again, to the plan. It has to be a comprehensive plan, and we need to bring in resources and share resources and stakeholders. So.
Perfect. And those are great. And follow up, Senator Walz, I know we have a nursing shortage, not only in the urban parts of the state, but across the state rurally, especially long-term care facilities continue to struggle with finding appropriate and adequate staff. You know, do you have any thoughts on incentivizing workforce specifically for, you know, our younger generation? We've talked a little bit about intergenerational, but do you have any thoughts or ideas of how do you incentivize or appease the younger generation to specifically pick and go into nursing, especially into our long-term care facilities? Do you have any thoughts or ideas on that?
Yeah, you know, a couple things that come to mind are just being able to incentivize staff coming on, maybe through paid tuition for continuing education, or paying for part of their education to work at the facility. Another thing that for me would have been great as a teacher, and I would have probably stayed a teacher had I had a daycare, you know, close by. So just being able to collaborate and providing daycare for kids. And again, that's an intergenerational activity, which would be great for both families and the residents that live there. I guess to me, the staff that work in the nursing homes are heroes. And I don't think that we treat them like that. They have one of the most important jobs in the world. And just to be able to find a way to build up what they do and allow our community to, you know, really embrace our staff and praise them for the work that they do, that alone speaks a lot. And I just don't think that they get the recognition that they deserve. They obviously deserve to be paid more. But I just think that being able to provide additional education to them for free would be a good way to incentivize. And as they continue their education, maybe they move up on the pay scale as well.
And heroes they are. I appreciate that comment very much because they are doing an exceptional, great job in our state. So thank you for those comments. So we're coming to the end of our interview, Senator, and as we come to the end, I'd like to offer you the final minutes for any closing thoughts or comments that you have or messages you want to send to the constituents in your district. So the floor is back to you.
Okay, great. You know, I just want to go back to the importance of us being able to provide community-based services for seniors. And I'm going to tell you a little story. My dad had a tumor removed on his spine. He was 78 years old. And coming out of surgery, he ended up having to be intubated and had a trach. He was in a nursing home for a few weeks and then came home to live with my mom. And, you know, it's pretty difficult for her as a 78-year-old to have to learn how to put the trach back in if it fell out, or any of those precautions, I guess, or issues that come with having a trach. So the ability for us to provide supports, ongoing supports to people who are trying to care for loved ones in their home, or for a person to just be able to stay in their home, in their community, is so important. You know, I saw a big difference in my dad when he was able to move home. And we just need to be able to create and develop a comprehensive plan, again, that will allow people to be in their homes with people that they love, in a community that they love.
Thank you, Senator. Again, thank you for joining us and taking the time to visit with us today. We wish you the best with your campaign. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. And most importantly, we thank you so much for taking the time to visit with AARP Nebraska.
You guys, thank you for everything that you do. We really appreciate it. It's an important job.
Thank you, Senator.
Thanks, Senator. Thank
Bye,
you.
you guys.